but
I will grab the Zills and be ready on your mark. Yes, and we brought it upstairs.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Yes, yes, of course.
make sure the unity. Make sure.
Come seeker, come traveler, come all humankind, online or in person, whomever you love.
Come and be welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Cheyenne, for here we are building a community of refuge where all have equal worth and are invited into spiritual exploration as a foundation for hope, compassionate service, and action.
This is a place where questions are encouraged, a place with room for all of who you are.
This is a place full of works in progress, a place for being human together.
Welcome. It is good to be here.
Settle in and exhale. This is a time for community.
Good morning. I am Heather Allen. I'm a member of the Committee on Shared Ministry, here to welcome you to the church where we are on a shared journey to find meaning, connection, community together. If you're new to us, there are welcome cards by the psalm books and everything. You just drop them in the offering basket, and we could share information about activities and find help what nourishes your spirit here. There are also note cards in the pew for writing your joys and sorrows for pastoral prayer. We pass a square basket around during the offering to gather these. Write your name or remain anonymous, and you can write "do not share" on the card if that's something that you want held in care by a minister and pastoral care team, but not spoken aloud. Many activities and events happening each week. There are many activities and events happening each week in the community. Here's a few that are coming up soon. Today is Potluck Sunday. Please join us after the service for a meal and fellowship in the social hall. Whether or not you brought anything, your presence is a gift in itself. Fire has a new family for us to support. Please help Fire raise up and help to meet the call with our newest family. After inventorying what's been donated so far, you will see it all on display on the stage. Thank you for all your generosity. The family is still in need of meats that we can freeze, that we can keep in the freezer here at the church. We have a great big one back there. And cleaning supplies and toiletries like toilet paper and paper towels. Donations will be accepted in the social hall through May 10th. Find more specific information about what the family could use located by the boxes in the social hall. Join us on Memorial Day on May 25th, if you didn't know, to get some plants. Steve will have all sorts of plants for you to take home and make your own. Everything from annuals, perennials, houseplants, and vegetables. A portion of all the proceeds goes to support the UUCC. We gather in person and on Zoom. Oh, I apologize. Miss Carol Jean is going to go ahead and finish this up for me.
We gather in person and on Zoom each week, giving from our resources to sustain the work of this church and to share our abundance with community organizations, broadening the reach of our values. You can find the Text to Give number in your order of service or use the Realm app for electronic giving, or your Share the Plate offerings or pledges can be dropped in the basket in a few moments as they pass. Our Share the Plate partner for the month of May is Bethel Outreach Ministries. Let's welcome Chantel Hunter to tell you about their work. Welcome, Chantel.
Good morning. My name's Chantel, and I'm a grateful child of God. I've been on the board of Bethel Ministries for about 2.5 years after I was voluntold to be on the board. Our motto, God does not make junk, has really been apparent in my life through 20 years of struggling with addiction. God has given me this awesome service commitment that has been truly fulfilling. I've done anything from pick up girls to take them to the library to reestablish their identity through Social Security offices and ordering birth certificates. I've taken them to the DMV for reinstatement fees and actual driver's tests. And I did have an incident recently where I took my 16-year-old daughter to take her driver's test, and I didn't have my registration because one of the girls forgot to give it back to me after they used my car. But this girl hadn't had a license in 15 years, and because we were able to pay her fees through this nonprofit, she now has a driver's license and a car. I've helped a single mom get into her very own apartment. We help with either the first month rent or deposit for these people that are reentering. It is a reentry program. So we do have a housing account. We partner with COMIA. They're a great organization that has really helped us. Usually I'm at CTC picking up girls to take them shopping for work clothes. It kind of becomes a problem in my addiction because I find stuff that I need, but I don't really need it. But it's really cool to be there with them. My story is also one that I came out of prison because of my addiction and my choices. So it's really great to be able to meet face to face with these women, share my experience, strength, and hope. We have the men meet with the men, and the women are with the women. Typically, I work with anywhere between 2 to 10 women a month. Our recent report from last year was a 4% recidivism. So that means that 97% of the people that we helped last year, only 4% of them violated and went back. So that's a really, really big return on God's work and what we're doing. I really love this program. And it's a great way, for these people to be able to make choices to get their life back on track by the grace of God. And any contributions are very, very, very appreciated. You guys all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you ever so much. And we will now receive our morning offering. Bonus music. And so we receive our morning offering, the treasures, the cares of this community offered in gratitude. Arlen Goff writes, "Thresholds. We cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside and back again, from here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation from what we were and what we are to what we can be. In this hour, in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities. And we ask, how will we be renewed in this moment? How will we be changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering of beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsty souls. Come, let us worship together. for our opening hymn. I invite you to take your gray hymnals and turn to number 389, Gathered Here. This is a short piece, and it's a round. So once we've sung it through once together, you can follow me or you can follow Carol and Andy, and we will go through a few more times as a round. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, Spirit draw near. Spirit draw near.
Today's chalice lighting is by Elizabeth Barish Brown. When a flame is lit, it rises, light and warmth renewed once more. Each week we come to renew our souls, to bring a melting of hardened hearts, to spark a transformation, to find the creative impulse, to become once more ready to take inspiration into action. So may we light our chalice flame.
And so, with our flame lit, our community gathered, we come to a time of meditation or of prayer, a time in which we breathe together and reach out to that spirit of life and of love, to that great mystery and wonder, to what we know as the connecting force of the universe, to what we may call love or God. For each week as we gather together, we hope to be a support and comfort in hard times. We hope to amplify our celebrations. We dwell together in all that is magnificent and ever-changing in this life. And so today, we let our prayers reach out with positive thoughts for Karen, who is facing some stress at work and could use your good wishes. We offer positive thoughts as well for all those working through job transitions, including several of the Methodist ministers in our community in these coming months, as Frontier gets a new pastor, as Frontier's pastor, Patricia Bell, moves to Gillette. We hold these brethren in faith in our hearts. And Mike Lammers says his cousin Geraldine Lammers of Fairhope, Alabama, passed away on April 19th and asks that you keep her family in prayer. We ask as well for prayers for those recovering from surgery, for those who are living with new health understandings and seeking to live into a better feeling of well-being. We offer prayers for those struggling with addiction and celebration for those who are choosing sobriety this day. And in this time, when so much in our world is in flux, we let our prayers reach out to those in government who could use good guidance, to those in the world who could use more peace and more kindness, to those in need of our assistance. We offer thanks for the fire team who continues to mitigate some of the suffering in our community, reaching out to friends and networks who offer care to those affected by unjust immigration policies. And we acknowledge as well the changing seasons, the joys of bird song and flowers, and the warmth of the sun returning. So may we give thanks that this earth is ever changing and hold room in our hearts for joys as yet unshared and sorrows too tender to speak aloud. As we light our candles for individual, community, and world cares. So may this space offer peace and comfort and community which enfolds us. Amen, and blessed be. And now, if the young or the young at heart would like to join us on the chancel at this time, we invite you to share the leadership in speaking our covenant in unison before our time for all ages. The words to our covenant can be found on the inside cover of your order of service. And they begin, "Love is the spirit of this church, and service its cause. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth, and to help others." Yes. And as many of our young and young at heart are aware, if you ever want to bring an animal with you to any part of service, you are always welcome. There's Jenkin and many assistants, including an emotional support chicken from the Presbyterian Church that would love to be cuddled at any time during our service. And today, we are reading a book that I suspect some of you have read before. It is called The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Yeah. Carmen goes, "This one's my book," in fact. it's true. It is your book. And it says, in the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. And one Sunday morning, the warm sun came up, and pop, out of that egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. And so he started to look for some food. Apparently, he forgot to come to our Sunday potluck. But on Monday, he ate through one apple. But he was still hungry. So on Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears. But he was still hungry. So on Wednesday, he ate through 3 plums. But he was still hungry. And on Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries. And he was still hungry. So on Friday, he ate through 5, what are these? Oranges. And can you guess how he felt?
Sick.
I might if I ate that many oranges in a row, but he was still hungry. So on Saturday, he ate 1 piece of chocolate cake, and he ate through 1 ice cream cone, and 1 dill pickle, and a slice of Swiss cheese, and a salami. He ate through a lollipop, and a piece of cherry pie, and a salami, and a cupcake. And then he ate through 1 slice of watermelon. And that night, you're right, he had a stomachache. That was a lot of food. So the next day was Sunday again. And the caterpillar ate through 1 nice green leaf. Chomp, 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 chomp. And after that, he felt much better. But now he wasn't hungry anymore. And he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big, fat caterpillar.
That's what I
Yeah. And he built a small house that's called a cocoon around himself. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. And then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon and pushed his way out. Oh, and can we guess? He was a beautiful butterfly. Whoosh. Yeah. And that is the story of the very hungry caterpillar. Yeah. Now, the very important part about this story is not just that it's a counting book, but it's a book, about transformation. So, why do you think we would read about turning into a butterfly in church? Partly because it's spring. Yeah, this is a thing that's going on in the world. It shows growth. Yeah. So another thing that we do at church, even though we're not caterpillars, is we grow and change in lots of ways. Yeah, we're all works in progress. This is a place for being human together. And we grow and change and learn to do new things all the time. And so, we, like the very hungry caterpillar, need to nourish our bodies and need to nourish our minds. That's one of the reasons we go to faith development classes, is to learn things that nourish our minds and our spirits. It's the reason we come to worship too. And then we go to Sunday potluck to nourish our bodies and our community. Boom. And right now, we're going to head back to our seats or off to the nursery to play, if that's your preference, and continue with our growing and changing times. Thank you all for reading with me.
Today's sacred message is The Growing Season by Teresa Honey Youngblood. The 6-year-old and the 9-year-old, co-creators of our neighborhood garden this past spring and summer, surveyed the backyard plot after our first good hard frost. "Ooh, that's a lot of dead stuff," says one. "Guess we're done here," says the other. They make their way to the far corner where a drooping pumpkin vine has revealed a few small orange orbs that we had missed in previous pickings. I stand over a daunting patch of blackened dahlias. The dying back shows evidence of our months of enthusiasm, but also horticultural ineptitude. Trowels and forks here and there, lost these past weeks or months, until the weeds that obscured them were laid low. Heaps of too tall flowers that grew leggy for inadequate sunshine, then flopped over into barely discernible paths. Twisted, odd-angled stems of cabbages and collards that were planted too shallow. Mats of green mush where crowded lettuces succumbed to the cold, bare soil. I see so much we could have done differently. So many mistakes made in haste. So many times I chose not to weed. So many corners cut, and no way to do them over until next spring. How many seasons does a gardener get? 10? 20? 30 maybe, depending on when they start. This finitude makes the regret over missed opportunities and poor choices all the keener. There is relief and remorse equally in my heart as the growing season comes to a close. Then, the 9-year-old is at my side again, attempting mightily to whisper through excitement, "Look! Look!" And I look where they're pointing. There I see a trio of goldfinches, annual migrants from more northern climes, hanging upside down to better reach the seeds in the gracefully nodding brown heads of spent sunflowers. And just below that, on a bright tithonia, a blossom, a monarch, somehow both flower and butterfly spared from the cold snap. The insect is lingering over the precious late-season nectar, even as gray clouds gather overhead. I think for a moment how this weedy chaos, these beds of failed attempts, look to the wild things. It looks like food. It looks like shelter. Imperfect, but earnestly done with the best efforts, tools on hand, and our collective wisdom, such as it was. It looks like a place of giving. Children and grown-ups and creation itself was tended here and fed. Our core reading is Gentleness in Living by Richard S. Gilbert. Be gentle with one another. It is a cry from the lives of people battered by thoughtless words and brutal deeds. It comes from the lips of those who speak them and the lives of those who do them. Who of us can look inside another and know what is there? Of hope and hurt, of promise and pain. Who can know from what far places each has come, or to what far places each may go? Our lives are like fragile eggs. They crack and the substance escapes. Handle with care. Handle with exceedingly tender care. For there are human beings within, human beings as vulnerable as we are, who feel as we feel, who hurt as we hurt. Life is too transient to be cruel with one another. It is too short for thoughtlessness, too brief for hurting. Life is long enough for caring. It is lasting enough for sharing, precious enough for love. Be gentle with one another.
Thank you. So a while back, I was texting with my brother. Autocorrect got the best of me. Some of you may have had this experience. Something you typed is just not quite right, and it's only in the moment after you hit send that it becomes oh so obvious. This one wasn't terrible. It was just funny. I'd tried to write, okay, well, have a good day. And instead, I'd written, have a goo day. Just no D. But while I'm not even sure he would have noticed if the imagery hadn't caught my own imagination, because I am me, I went ahead and followed up. Yeah, I typed, that's what I said, get gooey, turn to mush, become a puddle, have a goo day. And my brother has met me, so his response, you're a weirdo, was quite heartfelt. But it came up again in my memory because in some ways this is the moment for us to be having a goo day. Or a goo month, a goo season. I've been thinking about the way that caterpillars turn to butterflies. Every spring, eating their way through leaves and cupcakes and sausages and greenery of their surroundings, and finding a safe place to hang that hard shell of a chrysalis or that soft shell of a cocoon. And then they settle in. They become utterly vulnerable in order to emerge sometime later with that newfound beauty, those wings, the ability to fly. When I was younger, the way it was explained to me, or the way I understood it, was that the caterpillar just changes inside the chrysalis. And I always imagined that that meant that the worm of the caterpillar just stays like it is, and some wings grow out the back and around it. I kind of imagined the chrysalis like this little changing room to protect the caterpillar's modesty while it was shedding a little skin and putting out those wings and doing some little adjustments. But it turns out it's nothing like that. Some of you may already know this, but a caterpillar creates that chrysalis or that cocoon in order to become a butterfly because it has to entirely dissolve its body into a caterpillar soup of cells that rearrange themselves down to their most basic structure to become just raw stuff that will reform and turn into a butterfly. It's a horribly vulnerable, tender stage to be in, that unformed goo stage. Having a goo day is truly a thing in the life of a caterpillar. That little creature that's in between existences needs a firm, strong boundary and a sense of safety in order to make it from one way of being to the next, to transform. It needs safety and support in order to have its goo day, in hopes that they may become a good day. Humans, of course, don't have any stage of life in which we literally turn into goo, and thank goodness for it. But we do go through life stages where we're trying to figure out who we are, maybe in a relationship or a stage of employment, a way of being, a place to live, or a congregational structure. When a plan dissolves and we need to figure out what it looks like to start again. When our lives change through grief, perhaps the death of someone close. Where we need to become different in deep ways. For me, the past year has been a goo stage, reimagining life with a child in it, again and again, first with a baby and then a toddler, reworking schedules for work and rest around keeping a whole other human alive. And for this congregation, these last few months and the coming ones might be that gooey stage. Cocooning in a thoughtful place, letting routines and expectations of what worship services and ministries and spiritual support ought to look like and who's in charge of it dissolve a little bit, so you can find out again what fits, what functions, what's needful, and what's nice to have. As a worshiping community, we might be dissolving some of the expectations about how worship might happen, that we need a single worship leader, or that needs to be a minister all the time, even that it's always a speaker. Maybe more embodied rituals or social action work done in shared and purposeful ways might arise. This congregation might try more action or participatory moments. We will try so much new in the goo stage. If the trappings and solid forms we've historically had go away, we'll also learn what is still at the center of the congregation. Like that garden dissolving a little bit after a hailstorm, we might find things that need to be taken out, but we might also find things underneath that are new, that are exciting, that are ready to grow. Becoming something new means taking the time to figure it out. We are works in progress. Having good and strong walls, a cocoon that holds us, is also important. What is that? Is it the location? Is it the community care? Is it healthy practices of conflict resolution? Is it the community and pastoral care? These are the things that the board has been doing with surveys and the congregational meeting you just had and the one coming up, asking good questions about what needs to come through that goo, what needs to be replanted, what needs to be weeded. Noticing here what's solid, what's ready, what needs to move away. There's a practice of sorting through that continues. Over the past through years, we've dissolved and reformed into something that looks a bit different than the worshiping community that existed before COVID and before I came here. There are people who are missing. There are ones with different priorities now than they used to have. There are people whose energies and time are distributed quite differently than they were before 2020. From that goo, we built a vibrant community, and now we're gooey again. Unlike butterflies, we don't just dissolve and reform once. Humans, communities, individuals have the option to be reborn again and again and to try out this goo stage whenever we need to. A second time, a third, a fourth. Because we do this as metaphor, we can enter and become that soup of all that is possible again and again. Another interesting thing about butterflies, even though they become soup, even though there's no brain left to hold thought, butterflies still have memories from before. They still know what they've learned as a caterpillar. We, who are so much bigger and longer lived than any butterfly, will remember who we are at the core. We'll carry those important pieces of our values and our core identity through all the changes. And perhaps they will help us to ask the questions that let us soar ever higher What has happened that was unexpectedly good in our prior ministries? What do we want more of? Where do we go from here? Working with Carol Jean on reforming our UU, new to UU classes this last week, we looked at the local history of this congregation, and I was reminded that each minister is just one stage in a history of survival and perseverance and strong community work that is frankly impressive. The move from the little yellow house to this beautiful building, the move from a lay-led congregation to one served by ministers and ministries, that guiding thread that has held us through all of the gooey times has been the loving, caring people that hold the core, the love and the values that flow from that love. And that is truly the center of this community. Oliver Sacks, a British neurologist and naturalist and author, wrote of people who had undergone illness and suffering that many appear now to have come back full circle and be back where they were. But this, in actuality, is by no means the case. They are no longer the people they were. They have acquired a depth and a fullness, a richness, an awareness of themselves and the nature of things of a sort which is rare and only to be achieved through experience and suffering. They have come to refeel the grounds of their being, to reroot themselves in the ground of reality, to return to the first ground, the earth ground, the home ground from which, in their sickness, they had so long departed. This is often an experience of people who have experienced severe illness, things like cancer or heart transplants, kidney transplants. And this, dear friends, is us as well. Every time we go through a hard thing as individuals, as community, each time we dissolve into goo, we are reminded of our center of love. And we come back more fully to the values which are permanent and rich and real in a Unitarian Universalist congregation. So we are people returning this spring to wholeness, to our home ground, not the same and not unlike ourselves, but deeper and richer and more fully ourselves, deepening together into the question of who we are and how we wish to continue to be the church together. Who this congregation, these people, wish to be. It turns out all of us are necessary. And as my brother knows, and I know, and I suspect you all know in your heart of hearts, being a weirdo is no barrier. No barrier to being loved, no barrier to being of value, no barrier to being a part of this community. We're a quirky community, and there's plenty of room to be authentically and fully yourselves. From our littlest, wiggliest members to those who are holding elderhood and wisdom and all the built-up weirdness of the ages. The chrysalis of community is not a changing room in which to hide modestly away from the world. It's a formed boundary and a protection for sacred and transformative space that at its best allows us to be vulnerable and to transform together in ways that launch us into the world with wings to soar. So what matters now is how we all decide to arrange ourselves for that future. How we are gentle and tender with one another, knowing that that goo stage is one in which we don't want to be bumped too much. It's a fragile time for a butterfly, a person, a community. But don't let that keep you from dreaming big. Roots may hold us close, but our wings will set us free. So let us be open to where the Spirit is moving, where our energies want to flow. Let us let what is good be good, and let what is goo be goo. For a time, until it's ready to form again into the body of community and the wings of hope. Let us still be ourselves and hold the memories of our survival within it all as we build a new way together. May it be so. So may it be. And so, let us rise in body or in spirit with our teal hymnals as we conclude our worship with our sung response, number 1017, Building a New Way. We will sing the first 3 verses.
Please remain standing as we extinguish our chalice flame and speak together the words in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry within our hearts until we are together again.
We conclude today with words by Eric Williams. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call, and blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. So may you go forth in peace, and blessed be.